Hi, I'm Lou Prestia from Prestia Consulting. I'm here today to demonstrate how to survey standardized lighting. The ISO specifies lighting for different industries, including D50 for the graphic arts, D65 and other illuminants for textile and other industries. Today we'll survey a D50 lighting booth that's commonly used in the print and packaging industry. The ISO specification 3664-2025, recently revised, includes four illumination conditions. I'm going to survey today for the P1 condition, which is D50 light with UV included, an illuminance level of 2000 lux. Before I go on to the demo, let me talk to you for a moment about the reasons this might be important to your business. The first is if your own organization is ISO certified, you probably would like to be surveying your own lighting to make sure that it is in compliance with this ISO 3664 spec. The second reason is if you service clients that require ISO compliance, in which case you'd have this same reason to want to check your lighting is ISO compliant. But there's a third reason that's maybe a little less understood. Even if ISO compliance is not important to your business, the fact is that color looks different in every lighting situation. So if you have two different light booths or D50 luminaires in your workflow, and they are not the same, the color will look different in each of those conditions. This leads to a problem that many in the industry have experienced, where the customer loves the color when they sign off on the proofs in the light booth, maybe in the customer service area, and a week later when they get on press for the press check, they start asking for color changes because they're seeing the color differently than they did in the light booth. The last point to make is that if you're doing any kind of color management only works in D50 lighting, which means you might have two samples that match within 1 delta E or less than 1 delta E, which sounds terrific. But if your customer evaluates them visually, as they probably do, and they're not in ISO compliant D50 lighting, their visual system will not detect that same closeness of that low delta E. They might see a very big difference between the samples, even though you know that under D50 color management, they match quite closely. Let's move on to our demonstration now. You can contact me on LinkedIn or see my website at prestia.com, and I'd be happy to get you more information about lighting or color management. One thing that I can offer is that we can survey your lighting in the way that I'm going to show in this demonstration, or I can also help to enable you to survey your own lighting systems. Thanks for your time watching. The first thing I need to do is I need to divide the booth into 9 quadrants. So I already cheated and did this ahead, but you'll need the tape measure when you do this. Measure the booth, which I did. Divide it into 9 squares of equal size. And then we're going to measure in the center of each one. Now I'm cheating. I put down Post-it notes so I'd know where to do this. You didn't have to watch me measure the booth and make the quadrants, but that's basically what I've done. And it asks me, how large is the booth? So I basically have to specify to get in the right part of the ISO spec whether this is more or less than 1 square meter. Okay, and it's more than 1 square meter, as you can probably see or guess. So I'm going to choose ISO 3664, greater than 1 square meter. And now it comes up with an image of the spectus. It's waiting for me to measure, and I always start at the center. Now the spectus has memory on it. I could do this just with the device without my computer. I prefer to use the computer because with the computer, I can keep my hands out of the measurement field. Okay? So I'll just press the space bar here to make the measurement. And he's captured the middle point there. That's the first plot, the spectral power distribution of the way the light looks right in the center of the booth. And now we're going to go around in a circle. So this is important for you to remember so that you do this consistently. I'm going to move next to the upper left corner. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to get the sensor, which is the head here, right over that mark that I made. And then I'm going to measure again. Now I'm going to go in a circular fashion across, down the side, and back to where I am here. So the third measurement then is at the top center. The fourth is at the top corner here. And so on.
I've completed making the measurements, we can look at the results. We can look at the results for each quadrant. It's kind of small on the screen here for you to see. But I can look at each quadrant and I can see the details, and I can already tell you that I failed in the middle because it's given me all this information. You see these two red marks here in the middle? So that failed. So we do not have an ISO 3664 compliant booth here. I'm not super surprised because this is a fluorescent booth. So if you're still using a booth that has fluorescent tubes in it, chances are if we do this, and I'm happy to come out and visit you to do this if you're interested, we're going to find out that your booth is failing. I'm going to recommend that you move to an LED booth from Use Normlicht, which is guaranteed to pass. Probably will pass for up to 50,000 hours if you get the new digital light system that they offer. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions.